combating nutrition disinformation and general bull. It's Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com.
What's up, you guys? Welcome back to another Instagram Live. And we're here with another episode of Jimmy Rants. And if you're brand new to Jimmy Rants, head on over to JimmyRants.com and you'll see how this show works. It's pretty darn unique. We start off on Instagram. We do a couple of live videos every single day, you guys. So go follow me on Instagram if you're not already, at Livin' Low Carb Man. That's LIVINLOWCARBMAN. Once you're there, you can engage in the content live, just like all of these wonderful peeps are doing right now. If you missed the live, it's okay. We do have the video up on Instagram for 24 hours to watch on replay. But if you miss it on Instagram, or if you just don't do Instagram, there's a lot of people, they're behind the times. They don't do Instagram. It's all good. We pop these over on YouTube for you so you can watch them there. So go type in Jimmy Rants as a keyword on YouTube or even on Google, and you will find the Jimmy Rants show on YouTube. And then finally, we have a Jimmy Rants podcast, which has the best of the best moments of this here show over on Apple Podcasts. Go leave us a review there, you guys. And then finally, go back to JimmyRants.com in case you need any of those links to what I just said. Today's Jimmy Rants is one that's a little bit taboo to talk about. Thus, it is perfect to talk about here on Jimmy Rants, because you guys know I don't shy away from any topic at all. And it's this topic, as someone who used to weigh 410 pounds and now sees other people in that same situation, I want to ask a very simple question. Why do people get weird talking about diet and health with an obese person? Because you know it. Admit it. You get weird when you see somebody that's morbidly obese and isn't necessarily, by extension of that, isn't necessarily in the best of health. And I'll tell you, I was just going to get my wife, Christine, some coffee. And while I was waiting in line to get some coffee, one of the managers at the store I was at is morbidly obese. And he had his pants were way down because his belly was so big. Very obviously insulin resistant. Very obviously in need of some information that can help him. But I would not pretend to go up to that guy and say, well, I have all the answers in the world for you. You should just go keto, and here's how you do it. And if you just did that, maybe you could be a little healthier. Everybody in the world would say that is rude, right? But we also get weird in as much as we want to stare at those people and say, oh, they're the scourge of society. And so that they become ostracized. And believe me, I was one of those people who was ostracized because of my weight. And so, why does it have to be weird, though? Why can't we have these conversations without it seeming judgmental, without it seeming like we are blaming the person who is in that situation, which I do not? Why does it have to have this strangeness about it? And if in the context of this discussion, we could talk about how you reach people like that. Of course, my long contention is you're not going to reach anybody, no matter how good the information is, you're not going to reach anybody until they are ready to accept the information. So my rule of thumb has always been live by example, show people what it looks like in the real world, and when they come to the conclusion that they need what you got, they'll come to you. And I've seen it time and time again in my own family, in friends and other people that I've been around. They'll come to you when they need information. Now, that gentleman I saw at the store, unless I build some sort of a relationship with him where he would know what I do, and we've talked about maybe health in a casual way, and that he knows my story of being 400 plus pounds, and this guy was at least 450 pounds, 400 plus pounds in my history. If he knows that, and then wants to come to me, I think that's the way to handle it. But people get so weird about this. And that's always been disheartening to me, because I think back to when I weighed 410 pounds and how I would have reacted if somebody had come up to me, like someone like me today, and said, you know, I used to weigh over 400 pounds. I used to eat junk food because I was tired of diets, and diets all failed me, and they were incredibly hard to stick to. You felt miserable, you were hungry, they didn't make you feel good. So could I tell you about a program, a plan that would make you feel good and have foods that you love? You like bacon? You like bacon? Yeah, you get to eat bacon on this. You like steak? That's right, you get to eat steak on this as well. What about full fat cheese and other dairy? You like that? Yeah, that's really good, isn't it? That's what we're talking about. And so had somebody come to me and described that diet and said, hey, you can actually lose weight. Of course, I wouldn't have listened to get healthy. I just would have heard about weight loss at the time. But if you want to lose weight, which that's what most people want, later on you discover health gains are so much more incredibly interesting. But had somebody done that for me when I was in the midst of being 400 plus pounds, I wonder if that would have worked. I wonder if they weren't weird about it. And of course, then you go the opposite direction. Some people do, where they're just incredibly rude about it. Hey, fat ass, maybe you need to do something. Maybe lay off the hamburgers for once. Guys, I talk real on Jimmy Rants. I hope you enjoy that, because that's what happens. I remember hearing those comments. You can hear those comments and you just kind of shake it off. What good did it do? Not really anything. I just, okay, that's par for the course, being a big guy and having people make comments like that. But people get so weird. They're either very rude, like that last comment, or they don't say anything at all, knowing that they need help. But it does really come down to that person saying, enough is enough. I've tried everything. I'm not doing well. I want to feel better. I want to look better. And then they finally find information that helps them do all of those things. The problem is, all along the way, they either give up and don't care and gain back a lot of weight and get even unhealthier, create more insulin resistance and all that stuff, so that then the next attempt makes it that much harder on them. And then when they do get serious, their default diet is always to go to the low-fat diet and healthy whole grains and exercise till you drop, and doing all of these things that haven't worked before. And yet, insanely, we do them again and again and again and again, and they're right back where they started from. So where do we get people, where do we reach people with this information that we have about keto and how it could help them get healthy? How do we reach the very people who need this message the most without it being weird? There's definitely no easy answer to this. It's more of a hypothetical of kind of talking it out and seeing what you guys have to say, and I'll look forward to that here in a second. But that's just always concerned me, that people don't know how to talk to people who need help. Now, here's the thing. Here's an analogy. If someone was in the middle of a building that was on fire, they were standing right in the middle of the building that was on fire, would we say, well, I don't really want to say anything, I don't want to get involved, yeah, that's just, no, that's their issue, I don't want to really say anything? No, the building's on fire. You would run in and grab that person and desperately try to save them. So why do we see people who have a health fire going on in their life right now and not want to save them? Why do we get weird about it? Why do we have to hem and haw and, oh, I don't want to insult them, hurt their feelings? I appreciate the wanting to be very careful about how you do it, because there is a tactful way of doing it and a very untactful way of doing it. A lot of people have nailed the latter. They know how to do it untactfully, calling people all kinds of names and saying snide remarks. Trust me, I've heard them all. If you've been obese in your life, you've heard them all. But I still want to reach those people. And I don't think it needs to be weird to reach them. All right, I want to see what you guys have to say. Welcome in, welcome in. Hello, hello. Hey, Brittany, thanks for being here. Hey, Keto Road. Hello, hello. You and Taboo never, says jumping for keto. You know me well. No, I'll take on any topic. Bonnie Lene says, because you don't want to upset or offend them. That is always the thing that makes it weird. Oh, I don't want to upset or offend somebody. You know, people are in situations, I would dare say, outside of their control. And a lot of people who become morbidly obese, it's very obvious that there are things going on that maybe they contributed to in the past, but now because of past choices, their current situation has them in a body that is fighting them tooth and nail. And so I have compassion for that guy I saw in the store earlier. Huge compassion. But I would never pretend like it's okay to just go up to that guy. Now, if I developed a relationship with him and he knew me and he saw me and he found out I write books about nutrition and he finds out that I used to weigh 410 pounds and was able to come off of all my medications that I used to take and was able to lose a significant amount of weight, and more importantly than that, gain a significant amount of health based on health markers. If he heard me talking about those things just casually, not to him, but casually, and then when his mind is ready to go there, then you got to be ready to be that resource for that person. Joshua says it's fear of not wanting to imply that that person needs to go on a diet. I talk about how keto is helping me, and I don't use the word diet. Yeah, diet is definitely a four-letter word, a four-letter D word. That's not a pretty one. It's almost as bad as the other D word. So, yeah, I think that is a huge part of it, Joshua, where people, they just don't want to be told that. So, again, the tactfulness comes into play. And I love the way you do it, where you just talk about your experience, and then that attracts people. I can't tell you how many times I've been somewhere where somebody starts talking about health and they ask me questions, and I start talking to, to that person like I talk to you guys here on Jimmy Rants, and I'll see heads swivel. They'll just churn and go, whoa, I've never heard that before. So I think it's just being present and in the moment and not necessarily going right up to those people, but letting them hear what you have to say and living by example through someone that they have some sort of a relationship with, be it business or personal, friend, whatever, coworker, that kind of thing. Hello, hello. So if you're just joining us, we are talking about why it's so weird. People get weird when they start talking about diet and health with an obese person. And so we're kind of talking that out here today. There is no clear answer about how to do it and do it well, but I'm definitely thinking that with more and more people hearing about keto, for example, in the mainstream, maybe some of these people who need it the most are keto curious, as I like to say. And so we have to stand at the ready to be ready to give them the good information without it being weird. I mean, if somebody that's overweight or obese or has type 2 diabetes or other condition that a ketogenic diet can help with comes to you for help, you better darn well be ready to give them information. And the reason they're coming to you is you've talked about it, you've put the information out there about how it's helped you. So you be ready to be that guru. You be the Jimmy Moore for them. One jerk ruined it for the rest, like everything else. Some have been attacked so many times. So when someone comes in honest and caring, they automatically get defensive because of previous attacks. Jumping for keto, you're nailing it. That's why I'm always hesitant to say anything overtly about it unless I'm asked about it. Now, if they ask me, hey, you heard about this keto thing? Yeah, I have. Let me tell you a little more. Not telling them that I've written several books about it. Keto Stephalophagus, I can't believe how many have so much to say about how I've gotten healthy, yet no one except for my mom said 2 words to me when I was obese from 10th grade to age 40. And that's the thing I'm talking about here, Steph. People, they shy away from you when you're the one that needs this information the most. So how do you get it into the earballs, as I like to say, of people, this information? How do you get it to them but for developing relationships? And when the time comes, they hear you talking about how keto has helped you, they're going to come to you asking questions. And I think that's how you handle it. I know we so want to run up to those people that we see in Walmart or Costco or the coffee shop I was just in. We so want to run up to them and go, I know you're hurting. Can I help you? Here's the information. But that's the wrong way to do it. Develop those relationships, share the information within the context of regular conversations, and when the time comes, they'll come to you. Finally caught you live. Well, welcome, Mel. I'm glad you're here. Crystal says, a lot of people think you're fat, so why try listening to you until they see results? Well, I find as a man who has had great success on a low-carb ketogenic diet and yet still has weight on the midsection of my body, I find them more relatable to those people. Oh, wow, you're eating keto, but you used to weigh 410 pounds? You're significantly down from that, so tell me more. I don't think it matters. And plus, I think they're going to see maybe the twinkle in your eye when you talk and the energy that you have. I mean, I'm going on now. I'm on the 8th day of doing a keto carnivore approach. I've had 0 carbs for the past 8 days. 0. And yet people would look at me and go, oh my gosh, you're so full of energy. Let me tell you about this keto thing. And so there is a buy-in factor that way as well. Alberto said, your book, The Complete Guide to Fasting, was the first book I ever read about keto and fasting. I never even have one, though, about physical aspect of you or Jason Fung. I care 100% about the message that's being said. Yeah, for sure. Crystal says, I don't feel uncomfortable about it at all. I have talked to total strangers about it. And see, that's another thing. Thank you, Crystal, for that. Some people have the personality type that they don't mind going right up to people and start talking. Other people are a lot more timid, so they're afraid to upset people. They're afraid to kind of feel like they're judging someone else when they're not. But in their minds, they think, oh, they're going to think I'm judging them. So I think, again, tact is everything. T-A-C-T is everything in this discussion. Katie Caddick, the question is, will the message be understood if it's not wanted or the person's not ready to face sometimes or take action? Katie Caddick, I think that's a great point. Here's the thing, though. If someone doesn't know, how do they know they don't know? But if someone is given the information, now they can't say, I didn't know. Now they know. What they do with that information henceforth is now on them. Now they can choose to believe or not believe the information they were given, but they were given the information. I'm amazed how many times I start talking about insulin and I start talking about the role that carbohydrates and vegetable oils play on inflammation levels and blood sugar. When you start talking all that information, it is brand spanking new to so many people. I'm amazed at that, how many people that is still shocking. And yet, it's information that you and I, lots of us, take for granted because we've heard it for so long. But you've got to keep in mind, as familiar as we are with all these concepts and with keto, this stuff is brand new to a lot of people. And I never cease to be amazed by that. But you're right, Kitty Caddick. The person can either choose to accept it or maybe they don't really want to hear about it. Okay, great. But at least they know now. Weijuro, I tried to get a diabetic friend to watch your second video yesterday about insulin resistance. I'm pretty sure they think I'm crazy. My mom, who is probably going to disown me. Oh, I hope not. Well, all you can do is be the example, and when the time comes, they will come to you. I've seen it in a lot of my family. My mom, my sister, several cousins, my father-in-law, bunches and bunches and bunches of people have tried this. All after scorning me, all after telling me they think I'm crazy eating butter on a steak, all after thinking I was killing myself eating this way. Every single one of those people have now come to me looking for help. So be that example. Pythagoras' formula works no matter how Pythagoras behaved in his life, good or bad. The message is what's important. Alberto, I talk about that a lot. People like to say, well, Jimmy Moore, you're just too fat to tell people about how to be healthy. And I'm like, okay, fair enough. Appreciate the kindness there. But does that change the science that supports keto? No, it does not. I don't have to look a certain way. I mean, you could point to someone like a Mark Sisson, who in his 70s now is as healthy as anyone. He eats pretty darn low carb. He does. You could look at Ted Naiman, who is a medical doctor friend of mine in Seattle, Washington. Dude has a 6-pack, and he eats keto. It's amazing. And yet, people want to kind of match up. Well, this is the person advocating for this diet, so therefore, if they don't look perfect, that's what that diet's going to do to you. And I've never understood that association. It's weird. Hello. With keto, I always talk the pain relief first. Crystal, that's great. And I love the mental health aspects. I always tell people, you kind of feel sluggish in your brain sometimes. You wish you were sharper. Yeah. You know a good drug for that? Yes, I actually do. Eat bacon and eggs. Bacon and eggs makes your brain work really, really well. And if that's all you ate was bacon and eggs, you might actually see your brain go on fire. I'm currently in the midst of fasting for a period. I'm deep into the fast now, somewhere around 17, 18 hours. And your brain will feel really good in that state. But yes, baby steps. Firewolf Ashton, I used to get very negative comments thinking that it would motivate me to lose weight. All it did was lower my self-esteem. And Ashton, that is the tricky balance. This is why people get weird talking about diet and health with an obese person, is they don't want to discourage someone. They want them to do something. But you're right. People don't realize this. Unless you've been morbidly obese and you've heard the snide comments and snickering behind your back, sometimes in front of your face, you just don't understand. You don't understand. And people like that gentleman I saw earlier, I'm sure he has heard from all kinds of people that gave him unsolicited advice about what he should do. And look at it in his situation. One person tells him to eat a vegan diet. Another person tells him to eat only avocados. Another person tells him to eat a paleo diet. Another person tells him to eat a keto diet. And his mind's about to explode, right? And he doesn't know what to believe. That's why building a relationship, gently sharing information within the proper context, and when the time comes, he will come to you or she will come to you. And that's when you've got to shine. Downtown Vapors, so many family members would benefit from keto. Some are doing it. I just keep talking about what I'm doing rather than pushing it on them. Put the emphasis on me and not them. That's the way to do it. That's the living by example that I'm talking about. And it doesn't have to get weird when you're talking about you, because you're talking about you, unless you make it weird about you. But most people, when they hear you talking about you and the great success that you've had with keto, they kind of perk up a little bit and they want to hear more because they are interested, whether they verbalize that they're interested or not. Beth loves keto. If someone wants to know how you lost weight and you tell them shakes, low fat, counting calories, they're just fine about it. But mention keto and they lose their stinking minds. That's my experience. I think that's changing though, Beth, with people now understanding keto a whole lot more because it's out there in the mainstream. Sometimes you have to correct a few things of what they think about keto, but I don't think there's quite the poo-pooing on keto that there used to be. I remember when I first started talking about nutritional ketosis, I was testing it online in 2012, 2013. I was talking about eating low carb, high fat. And people thought, oh, high fat, I got a lot of fat for you, I can feed you. And I'm going, yeah, they don't understand, but that's changing. Adam says, I have a question about the carbs in eggs. Well, we're not doing general questions, Adam. Thank you for that. You can email me or privately through Instagram if you want to leave me a message, and I'd be happy to address that. Of course, you can email me anytime, livinglowcarbman@charter.net, and I will be happy to answer that question. Bonnie, how do you know even how to start a conversation with that person? I would want to start a keto group and invite them as a way around hurting their feelings. My intent is to help, not hurt. Yeah, but even inviting someone to come to a diet group, some people might see as offensive. So that's not necessarily the answer either. Again, everybody's on this journey, and they're on different parts of their journey. I don't know if that guy just came off of doing a vegan diet and it failed him miserably, and he's just written off all diets together. I think back to 1999 when I went on a no-fat diet. I absolutely ate no fat in my diet, if at all possible. I want to say under 10 grams a day. My brother Kevin in 1999 had just had 3 heart attacks at the age of 32, and that nearly killed him. And I was 4 years younger than him, and I said, there's no way I'm following in his footsteps with a heart attack. So I went on a no-fat diet because, again, default diet, that's what you do. And I cut my fat, and I was miserable the entire time. I lost a lot of weight, triple-digit weight, but I was miserable and angry the entire time. And at the end of that, when I gained back the weight in 4 months, yes, I gained back triple-digit weight in 4 months because I rebelled against that way of eating. I swore off all diets because I said if I have to eat low-fat in order to be healthy, I'd rather be eating whatever I want and be happy than to have to eat that way and feel like crap. So maybe that gentleman I saw earlier, maybe he's in that situation now. Maybe he's written off all diets because he's like, none of them work anyway. I'm hungry, I'm miserable. He just hadn't found keto if that's something that he wanted to try. It's why I think gentleness goes a long way in this discussion. My husband sees the changes in me with keto, will not change his eating habits, but he will eat my egg loaf or my keto cookies. Drives me nuts. Well, keto to live. He loves your food. And I say, you use that. I wonder if you could like covertly start removing all of his crap. The more that he gets used to loving these keto foods, and before long, he's eating keto by default because that's all that's left in the house. Try that. I want to hear what happens. People have a fear of being hungry on keto. Most are food addicts. Well, that's the selling point. You tell them you want the anti-hunger diet. It is keto. I can't think of another diet that you can sell as it's anti-hunger. If you're hungry, eat more fat. And if you eat more fat and you still get hungry, then guess what? Eat again, more fat. This isn't hard. And I think that's a huge selling point to get people into keto. By Lorenza says, because you have been there and succeeded, I think he has been waiting for you. I would gently take the chance. It could save his life. Thank you for that. I do have a heart for people. But again, with no relationship at all, I do think it would be rude. But build a relationship, connect with the person, have a casual conversation. Oh, what do you do for a living? Well, I'm a health book author and podcaster. Oh, really? Well, what's your story? How'd you do that? Oh, I used to weigh 410 pounds, lost 180 pounds on the Atkins diet back in the day, and now I do this thing called keto. You heard of keto? And then that conversation could then lead to something. But I would never just carte blanche go up to somebody at a grocery store that's 500 pounds and say, hey, let me tell you about diet. They don't want to hear that. And it's not cool. The permanently exhausted pigeon. Most interesting username of the day. Thank you for that. It's definitely one of those conversations that nobody wants to kick off and wait for someone else to start it and then jump in when they feel comfortable. Now, I am not afraid to start a conversation with anyone, but I think the weirdness as what you're getting at here, the weirdness is that initiation of the conversation. because you don't want to upset the person, but at the same time, you want to give them good information that maybe they haven't heard before. It's almost like a Christian trying to witness to someone about Jesus. If they hadn't heard about Jesus in the right context, how do they know whether they want Jesus or not? And same thing with keto. How do people know whether they want keto or not unless you tell them about it? I told you once before, being overweight, my friends vanished, so it's hard for heavy people to trust anyone. Bonnie, that's sadly more true than not. I talk to strangers too, says Dory. Dory, I am not surprised. Although you have such an infectious personality, and strange hair and all the beautifulness that is Dory, that attracts people to you, and I'm not surprised that you would just pop right up to them. Just wander around saying bacon and make friends. Free bacon would make a lot of friends. Uber odds. If you have a generalized question for me, this is not the place for it. This is a show called Jimmy Rants, so go send me that message through an Instagram message, and I'd be happy to answer that question. I've had 4 people ask me about what keto is in the last couple of days. They saw my 2-year keto-versary video that Dory made for me. One of them wanted to know what kind of keto pill I take. Joette. Keto pill. Yes, it's called butter and coconut oil and bacon and eggs, full fat meats and cheeses. See, but that's the diet mentality we live in. People say, well, you've been successful. You must have had a plan, program, or pill, right? Let's redefine that, right? Well, welcome, Bon Bon, my first live. Thanks for being here. My high school boyfriend would sing me the Jenny Craig song for motivation. Oh, that's not very tactful, is it, Dory? Tact and kindness is the key, says Ashton. Yep. I had family members tell me I should get surgery, or even doctors say that. Modern keto family. Yeah, that's disgusting. Just get weight loss surgery. And at one point, several people were saying that to me. Oh, just get weight loss surgery. It's the easy way. Ain't not easy. My mom went through gastric bypass surgery a couple weeks before I started on the Atkins diet. And she lost a lot of weight, but then eventually gained it all back because it didn't really change anything about her cravings for carbs. And now she craves them more than anything. Now, she is thankfully starting on keto and hopefully going to stay on keto, but it's a hard road. When you've had gastric bypass and your stomach is now that big, you can only have just so much food at a time. I don't know how people do that. Lead by example and dive right in when people ask. I convinced my husband to try to get control of his type 2 diabetes, and it worked. People are just in awe. They say, oh, that's so hard. Not really, I say, says Sassy Frassy 95. You're right. And I think getting people to understand that it's not hard, that it is easy. I've done a whole Jimmy Rants on keto as easy. But people like to make it harder than it really is. The only thing that would make keto hard is if you do it wrong. If you cut your fat, it's hard. If you try to eat more carbs than you're allowed, it's hard. If you overeat on foods that aren't exactly real whole foods, so like packaged products, and you're not seeing results, it's hard. Otherwise, you can have meat, vegetables, fat. How hard is that? Pretty darn easy. Someone told me I should have bariatric surgery instead of doing keto, says Nita Barnes. I think keto is far better than any bariatric surgery. I didn't get that strange looks when I reply keto to the questions of what have you been doing. Now I can reply carnivore and you should see their looks. Yeah. Yeah, I'm only eating steaks and hamburgers and sausage and bacon. Yeah, that's all I'm having. Maybe a few eggs for garnish. We have found by making people food we eat on keto that they might be a bit more receptive into looking into it, kind of like meeting them where they are. Modern keto family, I love that. And I can't tell you how many times I bring a keto dish Like at Christmas time, I brought a keto dish to the party. They gobbled them up. They had no idea that those sausage cheese balls had no carbs in them other than almond flour. That's it. That's it. That's all they had. And had full-fat cheese and tasted delicious, and nobody was any the wiser. In the last month, I've had many conversations with people about keto products like the Slim Crap keto candy. That's Slim Fast, but I love it, Slim Crap. And how that stuff is not really about healthy living on keto. You're right, Crystal. And I think a slow education. It's why you guys watch me on Jimmy Rants, because you're looking for more information that you can then pass along and share to these friends and families that are keto curious. If they're not keto curious yet, they will be. They will be. So be ready. It took my carb junkie husband a year of watching me. He's now 6 months in. Downtown Vapors. Yeah, Christine didn't start doing this until she got high triglycerides. And when her triglycerides were approaching 300, that's when she got serious about wanting to cut her carbs in her diet. Until then, she was skinny, so she thought that meant she was healthy. And when she realized it was touching on her health markers without touching her weight, she's like, whoa, I need to get serious about this. No one in my family wants to know about keto, and I've been keto for 2 years, says Deborah. Deborah, wait for it. Wait for it. It's coming. It's good. Trust me, it's coming. I got all kinds of awful advice when I was big. My favorite suggestion was just starve yourself. Yeah, Dory, you're hitting on something pretty big here, because a lot of people that are really huge, they'll hear people say, "Well, you could stand to skip a couple of meals there, big boy." If I had $1 for every time I heard that one, yeah, I'd be a very rich man today. But doesn't answer the question. Even though there's a lot of energy on the body in the form of stored body fat, the body can't tap into that energy until the body becomes a fat-burning machine. And as long as you're still a sugar burner, you're not going to tap into that. Now, you would be miserable if you truly did starve yourself and not eat when the body was physiologically trying to tell you that it was hungry. So yeah, not helpful, was it? Weight loss, not the easy way either. Or is not the easy way either. Keto's the easy way, says Dory. Yeah, easier. Some people have challenges with keto as well, but a lot of those have to do with stress and some other lifestyle issues that if you dialed those things in with keto, that it could be the answer they're looking for. Beautiful Binge Eater says, I've lost 80 pounds and slowly all my friends and family have come to me for help. I think it's been more rewarding helping them see success than ever losing the weight myself. I almost forget about my own success doing this because of all the literally tens of maybe hundreds of thousands of people that I have heard from over the years who have been impacted by my work. And maybe it's in the millions now. I don't know, but to me, that's the gratification now of having this knowledge and now sharing it with other people, is seeing those people find success. And I find success seeing those people get successful at healing their bodies. All right, let's see what else we have. Ashton says, I think people are still afraid to go against their doctor's advice, so they think a pill will solve everything. Man, Ashton, you're nailing it. I think that is a huge part of it. Conventional wisdom on everything, not just diet, but doctors have all the answers about your health, so you should do everything that they say. And this isn't anti-doctor. I've said this before. I'm not anti-doctor. I'm anti-doctors trying to pretend like they have all the answers, especially when it comes to nutrition, where they have no answers because they've had no training in it. Break my arm, I want the doctor to fix it. But don't tell me how to eat because you hadn't been trained in how to help people with that. Calamity Tam 68, I'm down 70 pounds with great blood work. In my last appointment, I made sure he knew I'd done it with keto the last 2 years. You go, Tam. And I think that's the way you do it as well. It doesn't have to be weird, you guys. Just share, share, and share. And as someone said earlier, you're just sharing your story. You're not casting judgment on someone else. You're simply sharing your story with them and then they can take that information and inquire more if they want to learn more. Mac's mom, too, went keto over Christmas for a little over a week. Was first time in 4 months, couldn't wait to get back on track again, felt the worst and was never satisfied, was hungry a lot at night. Well, hopefully it's better now. Hopefully now that you've been doing this for a bit, because it does take a good 2 to 4 weeks to get keto adapted. Hal Road 1221, my son thinks I'm going to have a heart attack because of all the fat I eat. I have sent him numerous videos from Dr. Eric Westman and others. He still thinks I'm crazy. Oh, well, someday he'll come around. Someday you'll be his guru, so be ready for that. Me and my wife have lost 150 pounds in total together. Our older adults are semi-keto and our little kids are majority keto. That's great, Modern Keto family. I think you're living by example for those people that are closest to you in your life, and that's your kids. So good job. Shared and have a cousin who's very thin but not healthy starting this journey. Keto Nana, and I love it. I love that people who don't have a weight problem are starting keto because they're recognizing it's more than just a weight loss diet. It's a health gain diet. All right, guys, that is it for this Jimmy Rants. The bottom line in this one is, why do people get weird talking about diet and health with an obese person? It shouldn't be weird. It should be very natural. You should build those relationships with the people who need to hear this information the most, subtly bring up within the normal conversations about how keto has helped improve your life. And when the time comes, and it will, they'll come to you. And you've got to be ready with a good information to help them get started on their own keto journey. That's it for this Jimmy Rants. JimmyRants.com is the website, and you want to see how it starts, head on over to JimmyRants.com, and you'll see that we start off on Instagram. So go follow me on Instagram at Livin' Low Carb Man, LIVINLOWCARBMAN. You can watch live just like all these people have been doing here today. Thank you guys for the conversation. You can also watch it on replay for up to 24 hours on Instagram. But if you miss the replay, pop on over to YouTube where we have all the past episodes of this here show. Just type in a keyword Jimmy Rants on YouTube or Google and you will find the show. You can also access the audio version of this show. The Jimmy Rants podcast is exclusively on Apple Podcasts. Go leave us a review there, you guys. Listen, it's pretty cool. I listened back to the Jillian Michaels rant that I did yesterday, and I was like, wow, that's cool. And you get the little music bed underneath. So it's up there now, and you can share those with your friends as well who may not like watching videos. And plus, we whittle it down to the main points in the Jimmy Rant. So go check that out. Again, you guys, all of this is at JimmyRants.com. So until next time, we'll see you then.